Welcome to the Design Editor. Now, in this tool, I want to take you through just a few key points to help the editing of your ebook be as streamlined as possible. And first of all, just take note of this video, and I'm using a really simple plain vanilla template. And first of all, the way the screen is organized, you can see on the right hand side here we have this panel. This is called the Page Navigator, and on the left hand side this is called the left panel, and this is where all the controls to operate fonts and things like that are for the whole ebook. And so with the Page Navigator you can scroll through and quickly access any particular page within the document, or by clicking on a page or hovering you can duplicate pages, delete pages and things like that. You can also drag and drop pages around your document using the Page Navigator. Now if you're finding everything's a bit cramped because of your screen size, you can simply close the navigator like this, and a little pop-up here will remind you that you can reopen the navigator by clicking this little book icon here at the bottom, just like that. So for now, let's just close the navigator just to give ourselves some more room. And on the left hand side here, this panel, the left panel, this can also be shrunk completely using this left arrow and reopened, or you can just resize it, so you can shrink it a little bit just to give yourself some more room here to operate. So first of all, let's just look at a few key things. With any content within your ebook, clicking on an element like a paragraph here opens this left panel with the things that you can do with this element. So for example, with this paragraph here, I can see that the text style has opened, and I have other options like I can change the background, the spacing, borders and shadows and things like that. But overall, a couple of key concepts with Designrr are important to understand. First of all, the top left here, this is called the breadcrumbs, and this gives you context as to where you are within a document. So at the moment we have a paragraph selected which is inside the page content, and the page content is inside a page. So it's important just to be aware of that, because if you get stuck or you're not sure what's happening, just referencing the breadcrumbs here will give you a clue as to where you are in the hierarchy. The second thing to note is this toggle here called Make Changes to All Elements, and this enables you to amend any content either globally throughout the whole ebook or selectively just with one particular thing that you've got highlighted. So for example, with this paragraph, perhaps I want to change the font for the whole ebook. Perhaps I'm just not happy with Montserrat. Then I just leave that selected, ensure this is on, so make changes to all elements, open up the text style and choose another font. Now these are just a short list of fonts that are loaded, most commonly used fonts. You can access 1,000 fonts by clicking on the Google Fonts icon here, and this will open up all the rest of the fonts that are available to you. But for now, let's just change this particular font to something like Arvo. So if I click on it now, then you can see now the font has changed for the whole document. But if I wanted to change just one paragraph, so for example, let's change this to red, then I can turn this off, and let's just change the text color, and we'll just change it to red like that. So that's how to make global and local changes, and that applies not just to paragraphs but to headings and to images and anything like that. And it becomes more important when you want to do things like spacing. So for example, I can see here this image, I'll just resize this image by making it a little bit bigger. But I'm not happy with the space between the image and the paragraph here. It looks a bit squashed. And so what I can do is, first of all, I'll just check the other images in case that's the case with all of them. And yes, I can see that image there. It's just too close to the text. So what I'm going to do is, with the image selected, I can make changes to all elements on, which means it will change all images. And then what I'll do is I'll just adjust the spacing underneath the image, so the bottom margin, and just increase it a little bit, and you can see that pushes that content down just like that. And then if I scroll down to the next image, I can see it's done it to that one as well. Now, while you're editing your content, one thing to note is that Designrr has an algorithm that's continually repaginating your content. So what that means is if you delete a paragraph, for example, let's delete this paragraph, you can see the content is moved up to fill the space. Now, the repagination algorithm will automatically lay your content out in between headings, so H2s, which we call chapter headings. And so, for example, if I remove these paragraphs, then it will leave the spacing there because it knows the next page is a chapter heading. But what happens if I want that chapter heading on this page? Then what I will do is go to the chapter heading and click on the up icon here and push it up. And it's moved it to the next available space on that page. And by clicking the repaginate icon here, I can force it to pull all the rest of the content up underneath, just like that. So that's what we mean by repagination. And that's what continually is operating in the background to flow your content from page to page, which is why it's important to start from the top down when resizing your content, when doing your spacing, fonts and images, because that way the algorithm will always work in a downwards direction. Now, if you want to edit any particular content, perhaps change a word or anything like that, you simply double click on the box and put the cursor where you want to edit. So perhaps I'll just delete that word like that, and then click away, and it's already saved. With images, what many people like to do is resize images and put them within the content. So by that, I can resize the image like this, and then to put it within the content, within a paragraph, I can word wrap it by clicking on the word wrap icon, which is based just here. So then by word wrapping my content, you can see now the content's been sucked up next to the image, and I can position the image on the left or the right, and it's now embedded within the image. And I can click and drag and adjust as need be. And if I need to switch on or off the word wrap, I can just click it once, just here on the right. This icon here. So that's how to adjust images. The other thing that you may want to do is change your headers and footers. And to do that, you can again double click just to change a word. So I can change this word just like that. And that will change the header, but as you scroll down, you realize that you want this heading changed as well, or this header changed. And so if you want to make the text the same throughout the ebook, simply click on the change you've made and click on this icon here, which will apply that same change to your whole ebook. So if I click on that, it'll ask me to confirm, and it will repeat that text change throughout the whole ebook. And you can do the same thing with footers as well, in exactly the same way. So those are the key things to understand when editing your ebook. If you need to change images or add another image, simply go across to the plus icon here on the left. This is where you can add more elements into your document. So if I want to add an image, for example, I click on the plus, I go to media, and I just drag over an image placeholder. It says Designrr, but it's an image placeholder. And it will pop up what's called the Media Manager, which enables you to upload your own images, or you can even search for images. Now when you search for simple words, because that are simple broad words, and that gets you the best results. So for example, a tree, I can open that image into a new browser window. I want to have a closer look, or I can just click on Use, and it will insert it into that space in the document. Now, if the image is too big, sometimes it might push it over to another page, so it's often worth just checking the page below. But otherwise, it's just put it in there as I wanted it. So a couple of other things to note. On the left-hand side here, there's also the settings where you can change the page sizes if you need to. Often it's worth ensuring that you make the page size changes before you do a lot of editing here, because obviously changing the page size will reformat and relay out all the content again. So try to do that only once and at the beginning of customizing your project. And again, if there's anything else you want to add to your project, click on the plus icon here, and this is where you can add more images. If you want to add more text, perhaps insert a blank paragraph in between these two, you can just drag in a paragraph like that, and in it pops. A placeholder for text is called lorem ipsum. This is not actually another language, it's just a commonly used text for showing a placeholder for text. And all you need to do is double click on it, and you can edit it as you would any other text editor. The last thing you might want to do is insert more content. And so if you've inserted content into your drafts, again, click on the plus and then drag in the import content icon here, and you can import content from the drafts tab, or you can import again from Google Doc, blog post, or a Word document. But ensure, of course, that the content, the raw content, is fully edited and spell checked and everything like that, because once it's pulled into the design editor here, it's harder to do things like spell check, because design is engineered for layout and design rather than the raw content editing. And lastly, other things that you might want to do are things like add a new page if you want to split pages, and you simply drag in things like the new page icon like that, and it will insert a new page in between the two. Now remember, you can get help at any time by clicking on this icon here, and this accesses all our help center and knowledge base, which includes videos and textual content. If you need support, then click on the support icon down here. This is direct access to our help desk team, who are there to help you get up and running as quickly as possible. And that's the quick overview into getting you up and running as quickly as possible with Designrr.